Well, my friends, the official Made by Google event is right around the corner, but of course, it wouldn't be Pixel season if there wasn't one final surprise, one last-minute leak. There's a chance Google themselves might be working on a first-party AirTag competitor for Android devices. There was a leak from an online retailer that gave us a first look at what could be the official Google Pixel tag. And so far, there's a lot of opinions about this rumor. Some people are excited, some people are skeptical. You know how the tech community is. Thankfully, we're gonna take a quick look here. We gathered as much information as we possibly could, and here's everything we know so far about the Google Pixel tag, plus a fair bit of speculation. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with more Google news like this, consider subscribing to the 9 to 5 Google YouTube channel because we have a lot more content coming your way. Alright, as I said, this leak broke out about a week ago actually on July 31st, showing a product listing from a European retailer, and the translated marketing description confirms this is a Find My Device / Find Hub tracker. Also in the description we got some more details with a model number GA12506 and the marketing name Google Pixel tag in the color Fog Light. Based on the image pulled from the online listing, the shape is a little bit different than usual. Most of these modern day trackers are round or squarish, but the supposed Google Pixel tag seems long and tall, kind of like a Galaxy Smart Tag or a Fitbit Air without the strap. And again, looking at the image, it appears we have a built-in speaker on the bottom of the tag. You can see a visible speaker grill hole there, which we assume is for helping you locate the tag via an audible sound. Alongside that, it looks like we have an aluminum build at best, and that's pretty much it. Strangely enough, there doesn't seem to be any built-in mounting point for this tag. A lot of these tags have a keyhole or a mechanism that allows for a loop to be connected, so it likely means this Pixel tag is going to rely on cases like the AirTag or Moto tag. Also, as I was writing this, there was another portion of this leak that I think is super relevant, which is the price. Dealabs posted an article on August 5th where they were somehow able to obtain what they say is the final price, and according to them, the Pixel tag will come in at €34.99, the same price as Apple's AirTag. Logically speaking, I'm hopeful that Google would at least match or undercut the AirTag's pricing as well in the US, which is currently $29. That would be a good play in my book, all things considered. Looking at this leaked image though, plus the translated listings, there's quite a few questions that we still have about this. For one, the listing did not confirm or deny any presence of ultra-wideband, which is really important. For those who don't know, ultra-wideband enables precision finding. With ultra-wideband, there's a radio, one in the phone and one in the tracker, so when you need to locate the tracker, the phone sends out a radio pulse, the tracker pings it back, and the phone measures the exact time that radio pulse took to get sent out and then received. With that data, you can tell exactly where that pulse comes from, and it allows for precise distance and direction, which is why people like ultra-wideband in the first place, especially when it comes to trackers. Whereas Bluetooth also has a radio, but only measures signal strength, not an exact time frame, so the tracking isn't as precise and can experience interference with walls, people, and other objects, making it not as accurate, unfortunately. And if this tracker doesn't come with ultra-wideband support, I don't know. I think I'll be a bit disappointed. For me, when I think of a first-party accessory, I imagine it to be best in class. When it comes to third-party trackers that don't support ultra-wideband, sure, it's a negative aspect that goes against them, but ultimately no one's really torn up about it because they're a smaller company. They aren't in charge for setting the tone of the ecosystem. They're just selling a product, trying to get a piece of the pie. No real big deal here. But when I think of first-party, Google themselves making the tag, I think of it more like a flagship reference device that everyone should be trying to aspire to. And it's especially important when it comes to the Apple versus Android conversation. If Google's own official tag doesn't have ultra-wideband while the AirTag does, that's going to be the lowest hanging fruit for every single review, every comparison, and it's going to give an easy win to say Apple's AirTags are simply better and frictionless, which isn't a good look. Not to mention, having ultra-wideband from the jump will future-proof this tag, especially as more and more Android manufacturers start to adopt ultra-wideband radios in their devices. That tag will already be several years ahead, making it a solid buy for years to come. So hopefully we do see the inclusion of ultra-wideband. I think it would go a long way in terms of optics for this device. Another question not answered by the listing is, what's going on with the charging and battery situation? We only see the tag from one angle, so we don't know if there's a spot for a USB-C port or pogo pins, or if it charges wirelessly. From this angle, we don't see any notches either, so it's impossible to tell if it's going to be a replaceable battery like the AirTag has with a swappable coin-shaped cell. Personally, I don't think it matters either way, although I do see a lot of comments saying that they pretty much are demanding USB-C rechargeable, not replaceable, or using a proprietary pogo pin, which I do understand. It is annoying to keep track of yet again another cable as opposed to a USB-C cable or charging wirelessly, which I do on a daily basis anyways, so we'll have to wait and see what direction this does go in if this leak turns out to be true. Lastly, a huge concern I also see about the supposed Google Pixel tag is with the shape and size. As we can tell from the leaked image, it has more of a long oval-like shape, which isn't a bad thing necessarily on first glance, but a lot of people are bringing up the Moto tag by comparison and how it's the same exact dimensions as the Apple AirTag, meaning it immediately has access to the thousands of accessories and 3D printed models already available for people to purchase. No one has to develop anything new or wait for the ecosystem to mature. They can just immediately start picking up their favorite accessories. To be honest, it's an extremely smart play by Motorola and instantly gave the Moto tag value. Plus, it already has ultra-wideband support, making it an incredibly strong offer today, just as it is. Meanwhile, the Pixel tag by comparison seems like it's going to have to start from scratch with accessories, and it's probably going to take several years to have even 10% of the existing comparable options. Regardless, if this leak turns out to be true, I'll personally be extremely happy Google is finally getting in the game with a first-party tracking tag, and this is something that I've seen the Android community asking for literally years now. People have been desperately wanting Google to make a heavy push to improve the Find Hub on the hardware front alongside the software improvements, and it's fair to say there is a good amount of people out there that don't want a third-party tracker. To the average person, Pebblebee or Chipolo might be that kind of brand that is way too niche for them, whereas the same average consumer might simply just buy a Google one based on branding alone. But anyways, my friend, that is just my quick take on this Google Pixel tag leak. Honestly, it unfortunately leaves way more questions than answers. Only being able to see one image from one angle beforehand leaves a lot to the imagination, but in general, I am cautiously optimistic on this one. I think nothing but good can come from this, regardless on whether it's a success or a failure. That said, I really want the Google Pixel tag to be the best of the best, a true reference device if Google does get it right on the first try. But I'm gonna leave it to you guys now. What do you think of what little info we have on the Pixel tag so far? Is this something that you'll be looking to pick up yourself if Google does do it right? Or are you already kind of assuming the worst and are going to just pick up a Moto tag or something similar? Please leave a comment and let me know your thoughts, as I'm super curious to hear what the Android community is thinking. Until next time, this has been Jordan Floyd from 9 to 5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.